So yeah, the code economy, a 40,000 year history. The first question people have about this book, customarily when I've spoken about it, is what do you mean by code in this context? I'm really focused on genetic code. So I'm thinking about algorithms of production as being sort of the DNA of the evolution of human society. So when human beings, sort of our distant ancestors, pre-Homo sapiens, were on the savannah 2 million years ago, we had the idea to pound meats and tubers or slice them up. And in that way, sort of externalizing our digestive system and taking care of some of the work that digestion had done, so that we could do that work more easily, and in the process unlock proteins and basically enable us to have the larger brains that we have. So the very first recipes, the very first sort of repeatable process in production, really made us literally what we are as human beings. Actually, human beings evolved until about 40,000 years BC to have increasing short-term working memory. And that was one of the attributes that it's accelerated our evolution, relative to our ecosystem competitors, including Neanderthals. The other thing that we did extremely well was solve problems in groups. What happened was that our social structures took the place of our continued biological evolution. So we really don't have longer short-term working memory than it appears as though Neolithic people had. But what we do have is a sort of complex society. And so the advance of code, when we think about the relevance to the present, is really the intersection of this continued innovation in code and algorithms, and then essentially how we kind of continually encode our best solutions into standards that then become platforms for future innovation. The introduction of new code and the way in which it changes the human experience is something that's happened throughout human history. We have this whole kind of robots are taking our jobs concern, that is not ill-founded. I mean, digital technologies are very powerful, but we've had discontinuous sort of intervals of the advance of code. One of them being the Industrial Revolution, when of course there was tremendous concern about what that would do to employment. So we're in one of these phases again now. But I would say, really, what it comes down to is if robots are taking our job, if automation, more accurately, is going to be able to perform some types of work that until now human beings have performed, then what's left for humans to do? And the answer is be human. And then it may seem like, well, that's begging the question, what does it mean to be human in that context? But I mean, the story I try to tell in this book, and what I believe is really the story of the evolution of human society, is that we continually redefine what we are as individuals, what we are as a society, and almost what we are as a species. I think most of the opportunities in the next economy, the economy that we're already in and moving rapidly towards, in its greater sort of elaboration, is about human-to-human work. It's about people connecting with each other. It's not about working with digital technologies directly. So I would say that's the kind of further takeaway that I hope that people will get from this book. To the extent that you sort of understand trends that are on the 100-year, 500-year, or millennial timescale, and those trends have been relatively unbroken, then you have a kind of reliable basis for prediction. And so I think that there are three certainties of which this book elaborates one, but an important one, that you can sort of base your predictions of the future on. One of them are demographic shifts. So we know about population aging. I think fewer people are attuned to the comparably significant reality of the trajectory towards population decline. And the second is the advance of code that we've been talking about. And the third that I also refer to in the book is urbanization. And urbanization, as I said, started 5,000 years ago. It's an ongoing trend. We just just the last few years went to first time that most of the people in the world live in cities. But one of the things that this book would predict, although I don't explicitly predict it in the book, but I did write about it in July of 2016, is that you would have an increased division between people who live in rural places and cities, and that might have political implications.